All right, so this week we are digging in the bag to pull out a cult comedy or cult classic. It's kind of a comedy.
Sometimes.
We're doing 2000s American Psycho, starring Christian Bale, and he's supported by Willem Dafoe, Jared Leto, Josh Lucas, who is the voice of Home Depot. I was wondering for a long time, who's the voice of Home Depot? He sounds so familiar. We were watching this, and I was like, it's fucking him. Samantha Mathis. Reese Witherspoon makes an appearance. And this film explores 80s yuppie culture, consumerism, the shallow and vicious nature of capitalism, and how our society objectifies and sort of, gosh, I don't want to say like endorses, but like the way that we as a society objectify and like execute violence towards women. I think that's like a theme in this film for sure.
There's a lot to be said. You said a lot, and there's a lot more that is going to be said about this film. A film that has achieved very interesting status in the modern culture, for better or worse, if you will, and correctly or incorrectly, as we'll learn. But the one question that needs to be asked is, but is American Psycho good?
We're gonna figure that out today.
Today.
Monday, April 17th, 2023.
It's the day that it'll be decided for good. So let's decide, or bad. Let's decide that then.
Cue the theme song. Let's do the theme song in this spot right here, I'm thinking.
Yeah. So like what? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. But is it good podcast? Yeah. Whoa, that theme song was so fresh.
So fresh, man. And it was perfectly placed too.
Whoever edits these does a really good job.
Yeah.
And has beautiful eyebrows.
I'll let them know.
Hi.
Welcome to episode 118 of the But Is It Good podcast.
I'm your host.
Because I just said like a jumble of sounds. But Is It Good podcast?
No, it was a good jumble of sounds. That's what
is.
All we are is just a sack of meat in a jumble of sounds, right?
That's true.
And a bundle of smells.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, you were saying who you were and what you are to this podcast.
I'm your host.
Ah.
Zach Olson.
And I am also your host, Hunter Callahan. And a little fun fact about me and Zach is that we're both missing the same tooth.
It's just like did you have braces or like some sort of corrective?
For like 5 years. I've had
same.
dental surgeries, all that kind of stuff. I had a really rough dental history.
So straightened out, like on the bottom. Don't look at that. I was supposed to wear my retainer, and I just like, nah, I don't know. But this top tooth, just like before the braces even came off, it was already like going back, and the orthodontist was like, it happens, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think mine is because of my. For the record, if anybody just listens to this podcast and doesn't actually follow us, or whatever, we're not actually missing a tooth, but we both have the same tooth.
It's like recessed a little bit.
Front left, that's a little bit farther back than the others, and in certain lighting, it could look like it's not there. Mm-hmm. But I had braces for like 5 years, and I think this is because I didn't wear my retainer, because everything else is fine. Like my bottom ones are pretty much straight. My top ones are pretty much straight too, but this one is kind of sunk back.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we should just wear retainers.
This
episode is brought to you by the retainers that your orthodontist gave you when you got your braces taken off.
Wear them.
Clean it. Use that like dental, like the denture cleaner stuff, and just make sure it's like super clean. And then put that thing in your mouth. Otherwise, you're going to look like us.
Anyway, yeah, we're doing American Psycho. I had a friend from work. Her name's Amaya. I doubt she listens to this, but if she listens to this, hey, thanks, Amaya.
Hi, Amaya.
She's awesome. We were talking about movies the other day, and she mentioned American Psycho, and I was like, I've actually never seen it. And she was like, oh my God, you guys should do it on the podcast. And I was like, all right.
Drop everything.
That's how that went. We had an open week, and we thought, cool. We almost did Mario. We almost did Paint, but Paint got atrocious reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario, we were just like, I think you said if it was like fresh or had good reviews that we would do it, but it's not fresh. It got like a 50.
And it's not that we only want to do good films on the podcast, but I feel like in our quota of big studio movies that
pop culture
didn't really meet expectations,
we've had plenty already.
Yeah, already this year too. So, anyways, we are doing American Psycho. At the top, Hunter, do you want to give the spiel, like subscribe and stuff?
Yeah,
you do it better than I do.
Please like and subscribe. I have to apologize. I did not post a single thing this past week, so I did not even post about what did we even do last time. What did we do? Air? Is that what we did last week?
Yeah, we did Air.
Didn't post about it.
Second, yeah.
So I'll tell you why in a second. But yes, please like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. We're everywhere. It really helps us out. And leave a review, email in, say hello. It means a lot. So yeah, I didn't post anything because I've had an absolutely shit week, just being frank. And it was supposed to be a good week. I went to Boston. I was really excited to go to Boston. Started out fine. Like Monday was a good day. But on Tuesday, when I went to Boston, I started getting sick. So I felt just kind of bleh. And then flying kind of makes me feel bleh anyway. You know what I mean?
Sure. The sudden change in elevation can do all kinds of stuff to your sinuses.
Yeah, so I wasn't feeling great on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I just felt like I was just dead. I had died. And and I was working, and if I felt like that bad on like Saturday or Sunday, I probably wouldn't have gone, but I was so late and my whole team was traveling, so like one of us had to go somewhere.
Right.
So I was living in a mask, which I am pro mask when you're sick, totally. I'm not saying that I was mad about wearing it, but after, what?
Nothing. I'm just giving. I was looking at you.
Well, I'm saying like, I recognize that after, 2 or 3 full days, it's hot and it gets tough.
Did you sleep in it?
No, I didn't sleep in the mask.
Don't. I mean, the way that you were talking about it, it's like it was always like you imagine having a mask on. And just trying to wash your face in the shower and just getting waterboarded.
In the sense of like it was on most of the trip.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And so I was just exhausted, and I was trying to work, and I was on a shoot, and all this kind of stuff. And then like Thursday, I felt even worse. I think my worst day was Thursday, and I had to travel home, and I'm on the flight home. I sneezed really bad in my mask. So I was like, well, I just got to stay on now because I can't take it off. I don't have tissues. So the last hour of the flight, I was just sitting in my snot. It was awful.
Yeah.
And but dude, I just had the body aches. My throat was just shredded. I had a bad cough. I still have a bad cough. It's still kind of, snotty. But the worst thing, dude, is my skin felt like it was just burning. You know what I mean? Your skin's really tender.
You might have had the flu, Hunter.
Maybe. Because I could not for the life of me, I could not get warm. I had my hotel room on 77, and I was in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I could not get warm.
These are flu symptoms. Do you ever have a thought like?
No.
Do you ever like a single thought in your brain?
No.
No. But honestly, do you ever think like I'm not feeling good at all? Rather than submitting all my coworkers to this, I'm gonna stay home.
Well, here's the thing. Yes. Here's the thing. It was just me and one other person on this trip.
Okay.
And
you said all your coworkers got on the plane, so I assumed it was like everybody.
All my coworkers were traveling. And it was so last minute that I would have had to have gone somewhere. Corey and Ian were in Fort Lauderdale. They got stranded, by the way, because it was like flooding. But they left on Monday, and then
are they still there? Because it's still pretty.
They had to drive.
Wet.
They had to drive to Tampa to get a flight.
Oh God. Okay.
And then Luke and Amaya had to fly to Houston on Thursday. So if I didn't go to Boston on Tuesday, I would have had to have gone to Houston on Thursday. And I had a show on Friday, got canceled because I couldn't sing. So I would have had to have gone somewhere. And on Tuesday, Tuesday morning, like Monday afternoon, I was like, I feel fine. Felt fine. Tuesday.
So if you were like legitimately like down and out, would they say tough or putting your ass on an airplane?
We would have had to have seen if we could contract somebody, which might have been like this guy named Mark.
Yeah.
But it would have been tough. And genuinely, like Wednesday, the actual day of the shoot, when I woke up on Wednesday, I felt so much worse. Like it was like I have it's just one of those things where like I was, and for the record, I wasn't really around a ton of people. Like it was one person would come in for an interview, and I'd sit there and I didn't touch anybody, and I kept my hands. I was like, hey, I'm not feeling great. I'm gonna stay back here. The worst part was like flying back. I was obviously on a plane, but I was trying to keep to myself. And I had told Savannah, I was like, if I felt like I did on Wednesday, on Monday, I would have said I'm not going anywhere. But for the record, I got back, I tested negative for COVID and everything like that. I didn't test for the flu, but whatever. But Hannah was sick too. Test, it was rough, dude. It sucked. Absolutely sucked. The good news is that I got back on Thursday. Felt pretty bad on Thursday and kind of bad on Friday. But Hannah's parents were out of town this weekend, and so Saturday was a great day. We started feeling better. Let's keep house to ourselves. So I'm better now. I feel like 90%. I just have a stuffy nose.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I think I have a little bit of a sinus infection. Nothing too worrisome. I just have congestion and like a headache. My week was pretty normal. I did go to a Braves game on Wednesday, so that was fun. I also when did we record last week? I might have gone to 2 Braves games since we last recorded. Because we record?
You went on Sunday because we recorded on Saturday.
Yep.
It's almost like you're a fan.
I am. I'm on pace to go to every series this season, and I'm going to the Astros game on Friday. So
yes, you are.
I'm maintaining that pace. But it's busy time at work. The middle of March until like my birthday, pretty much is like busy time. Athena, who has been asleep, is coming to say hello. Hey, baby.
Hello,
You can't
Athena.
see her. There she is. You can see her nose.
Let me see if I can. There she is.
Come here. Come hither.
I can see her. I expanded your screen.
You can do that. Yes.
I can do that.
But yeah, I'm good. We should probably, because we're running 15 minutes. We should probably talk about
we can jump
American
in.
Psycho.
Let's do it.
Unless you want to start another podcast. I'm thinking we start a baseball podcast. I already have a name.
What's it called?
Bases Loaded Talk.
Oh, okay.
See?
I like it. Is it going to be part of the BIG network?
Yeah, but is it good? Semicolon, whatever. Bases Loaded.
Bases Loaded Talk.
Bases Loaded Talk. Don't you like that?
I like that. But are the bases? But is it an error? Is a new podcast? That's an inside joke.
So talk could be walk or it could be balk, right? So it could be like a bases loaded pitcher's balk because he used his mask.
Oh, I get it.
See?
I like it. But yeah, let's dive in. It's your episode, so I'll follow your lead.
So, Hunter, as a man who had not previously seen this film with your eyes, what are your first thoughts?
I really, really enjoyed this film, and I hated everybody in it.
Everybody.
Actually, no. There's one person that I had a lot of empathy for. It's not Patrick Bateman.
Was it the doped up side chick?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Courtney.
Courtney? Yeah, it was a Courtney.
Courtney
Yeah.
broke my heart, man. That's a sad story.
Yeah.
No, I think as a film, this movie was fascinating. I thought it did a really, really good job. I thought it was, which I'll talk about this later, but like the author of the book has said this movie's unadaptable, and isn't crazy about the movie. And I think that it did a really good job because they were saying that it doesn't give an insight to his consciousness, and I think it did a pretty good job of it. Actually, I liked it. I thought it was well done. I think it goes off the rails, but I think in a way that is fascinating. I think its themes are clear. I think to me, they're clear. I don't view this. I know this movie has gotten some criticism because it's been said that it glorifies violence, especially against women, and that it sort of promotes this toxic masculinity. And I think it's ironic because there are people who get that from this movie and like it for that reason and say, oh, I want to be like that person. But that's who this film is like. I don't want to say making fun of because it's more serious than that, but it's a satire on those kinds of people. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
So it's definitely, there's the irony is not lost on me for that. It might be lost on them, but I think he's just the absolute worst. They're all just awful. Like, I hate everybody in this movie besides Courtney. And I think you're meant to, but I think it did a really good job of letting but not like, it didn't feel heavy-handed to me. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was forcing it down my throat. And I think that the performances were really good. I mean, Christian Bale, he's definitely become a meme because of this movie, but I think it's a good performance. It's subdued and subtle, but also totally unhinged. And when he becomes unhinged at the end, like, I think it's a good job of making you feel unsure.
Right.
Kind of being like, what's happening? I liked it. I liked it. As a film, and at least for me, I know there's varied, responses to this movie, but for me, I hated I hated what I was watching, but I loved it as a movie. If that makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to, when we get past the spoiler wall, which we're approaching, I'm going to ask you why you hated certain characters, because there's a couple others that I don't feel like deserve hate.
Maybe hate's a strong word, but I didn't hate Willem Dafoe.
Okay. That was one I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask you about his, secretary at work. Like, what'd she do?
Oh,
no.
no.
What did she do to you?
So there's a handful of people that I don't hate.
Okay.
You are right. But your turn.
I've seen this film a handful of times. The first time I saw it, it was super thought-provoking, I guess, because maybe I wasn't thinking about excess and consumerism and all this stuff and the ways in which we, like you said, this film characterizes a certain kind of person that treats people a certain kind of way. And it is unfortunate that there's a community that seems to completely miss the point of the film. And sorry, I had to stiff arm my dog. She's getting on my nerves. Completely missed the point of the film. And glorify that because that is the opposite of what the film is trying to do. And I'm sorry, I need a minute. The second I look over at her, she sits down and looks
pitiful.
Just calm down. Just lay down. Good girl.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And take two.
Am I starting over completely?
No, you
should
can
do
pick
the whole
regular.
thing. It's sad to me when something that is clearly a satire on like a type of behavior or just like a way of thinking is taken literally and used in a negative way. And it does make me wonder if in some ways satire does more harm than good. So that's something that I'd like to talk about a little bit because while it's obvious to you and me, like there are people out there who watch this film, and I'm not saying that there's people that are going to watch this film and like go buy a chainsaw and like, you know what I'm saying? But like, just people.
Well,
people latch onto this stuff.
We can,
so.
we can talk about this at post spoilers because I do have comments about that and questions again. But I want to get your thoughts. But continue.
Yeah, but the film itself, I think, is it's well made. It has like the right amount of like shock value, I think, where you're like, what just happened? What did he just say? You know? And I think Christian Bale's performance is phenomenal. He was a fairly unknown actor. He had been in a Spielberg film.
He had been in a big movie as a kid too.
That was the Spielberg film.
Was that it?
What was the name of it? Empire of the Sun.
Yes.
But I think he did a great job. I think everyone in the film did a good job. Like you said, there's a lot of characters that you hate, and I mean you're supposed to because of the nature of the film. But yeah, I get preoccupied now when I watch it because of the reputation that the film has. So, that kind of colors my perception of the film today.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this at kind of post spoilers, but I did a little bit of a mini rabbit hole dive after watching this into the culture that has sort of been created by this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's just the worst. It just is like, how? I don't understand. And I can give a little brief thing before we do movie minute, but like you'll see, like I've seen like super religious, and it's not always going to be like some super religious right wing person that is on this. I'm not saying that by any means, but like this instance was like a super religious, staunch conservative Instagram page that was posting scriptures and Bible verses, and their profile picture is Patrick Bateman, and I was like, bro, you don't get it. Like you don't get it, man. Or there's so many like Instagram dude. One of my biggest pet peeves, it makes me so mad, is like you'll see an Instagram post and it's like some profile called like Millionaires for Life or like Hustle for Money, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like a picture of Patrick Bateman like in a suit, and I'm like, I don't know. You don't want to be like this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? You haven't seen this, obviously. But anyway.
Or like, have you seen those? It'll just be like an edit. It's like little shots from a movie or a TV show, and it's like hot boy edit. And usually it's like a K-pop star or like, I don't know, like a character that everyone loves, who is universally loved. They have those for Patrick Bateman. It's like, what on earth?
And like, there's things in the movie that yes have become memes, and I've used the memes, and they're funny, but it's like, you have to know your source and know like what's actually being said. And like using the meme where he's like, he has like the like that face. that's
Right.
funny, whatever. But like, I don't know, or his famous morning routine. We can talk about that. But like, dude, he's just the absolute worst. He is the worst.
Yeah.
And I wonder. All right, do movie minute, and then we can ask this. Go ahead.
Okay.
Because I don't want to keep. Because we're just gonna go on a tangent, and it'll be
Yeah. So ahead is spoilers. Let me try that again. Spoilers ahead. So buckle up because it's you, me, Hunter, Crash Dummy, and a brick wall of spoilers that we're about to drive into at 75 miles per hour.
75.
Mm-hmm. Yep, in
I
a
got
Prius.
a nice little quiff going on here. Look at that.
I'm sure it looks great. Your video feed is like super grainy just because of, sometimes the quality goes down and then it'll come back up. I'm sure it looks wonderful.
It does.
Are you ready for a movie in a minute?
I'm ready. It's your turn, so I'm just going to watch.
Oh, yeah, I got to pull up a timer. Give me a second.
Zach's going to do movie in a minute. He's going to talk about American Psycho. He's got 60 seconds. He has to use them all. If he uses less or more, he's fired. You hear that? Did you hear that? I meant it.
Okay, well, you'd think that you would have the timer then, but you give me the control. So
It's the honor system. I trust you.
I could just lie. I
You
could just
could.
lie to you.
You could. I'd find out, but it's fine.
All right, so here we go. This is American Psycho. Movie in a minute. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so it's 1980s. We're in New York City. We're following Patrick Bateman. He is this Harvard Business School graduate who is also a serial killer. He's very caught up in his appearance, his status, the restaurants he goes to. He wants to go to Dorsey. He can't get a reservation. They laugh in his face. Paul Allen has a nicer car than him, and Paul Allen calls him by the wrong name. He thinks he's this jack-off named Marcus or something. So he invites Paul Allen over to his place after getting him drunk, kills him with an axe, then goes and finds like a prostitute on the street and also calls a call girl and invites them to his apartment. Has a really weird interaction with them, and they leave alive. But then later, one of them dies, and another girl dies, and then another girl dies, and a bunch of people die. This woman tries to save a cat, and she gets shot for trying to save the kitten. Everyone dies. The cops are following him, and he thinks he's going to get caught, and he doesn't.
Incredible.
So that's the movie. That was 1 minute on the dot.
You get to keep your job.
Cool.
Cool. All right, so I took notes, which we haven't done in a while.
Okay.
I loved the intro. We can kind of work through these. I loved the intro because I was like, oh, I'm getting like super, because obviously there's a lot of like homage, if you will, to like Psycho. I mean, his name is Bateman,
Right. Yeah. This
and
is Psycho, but in America.
American Psycho. Yeah, come on. And
So,
and it gave
Larry
me
the Cable Guy.
Could you imagine? This gave me like retro Psycho vibes. The intro, but it's food. Oh, it's food. Wow.
Yep.
The you see it's blood dropping. Oh, no, it's not. It's like cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
But my first real note, and forgive my language, I try not to drop too many F-bombs on this podcast.
I dropped one in the intro, so it's
No, yeah,
it's
it's
what
fine.
it is.
You can do it as long as you want. I don't care. My first note is, oh my God, fuck these guys. So like in this first scene, we see everything that this film's already kind of showing us, and that's just like this culture of sameness, right?
Yeah, the culture
they're
of
all the same, man.
conformity, but also excess, because the bill, they're like, oh, speaking of not that bad, it was only $570.
Yeah, and it's like
They all have the same card, and
they all have the same. They all look the same.
Mhm.
Even like waiters, they talk the same. I've got this tonight's special is so and so with cheese sauce, and then it cuts to the other guy, and he sounds the exact same. I mean, everything is just the same. And you actually, in my opinion, which I'm sure it may be intentional, I mean, and you probably caught it because you've seen it more than once, you get this theme of like, no one really has any real identity.
That's right. Yeah.
Like who actually are these people? Who are you? Because in this first scene, we get what's Paul Allen doing over there? And then he goes, he's not over there, he's over here, and it shows a guy.
It's just the back of his head.
Well, no, I think it actually shows a guy, and then you meet Paul Allen later, and realize that guy at the beginning wasn't even Paul Allen.
Yeah.
So like they're just saying names, like it doesn't even matter. It's
well, and
brilliant.
later, when Patrick Bateman gets mistaken for Habershand or whatever his name was, you know what I'm talking about? He's like, it's an easy mistake to make because we work on the same account, we have the same suit, we get the same haircut, and we wear the same glasses. So they essentially are the same person, except one's a serial killer, and the other one probably, I mean, maybe the other one is too, and we just didn't get that side of the story, right?
Yeah, I think it's just like it shows you up front this like culture, yes, of excess and the yuppies and all this stuff, but it's already showing like they aren't even real people.
Yeah.
Like they're all just creating this identity of like, oh, this is the culture that I'm in, so I'm gonna be that, you know?
Well, I mean, shoot, Hunter, this is a good time to talk about the opening monologue because he goes through his morning routine, all the things that he does to get the perfect abs and the perfect skin. And then he says, I actually
even had the note of like, it was a great, it's like for the film, it's a great monologue. It's a really great, it really kind of, I think it does a good job of showing his temperament, right? His outlook.
Yeah. I guess we don't need to read it verbatim. But he's essentially saying, I do not exist. There's an idea of me, like in essence, but, you know, it might feel like you're shaking a hand, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
And that could be seen be taken a couple of different ways. It could be taken as the character in the film and in the book don't actually exist at all, and they are just like a manifestation of everything that the author or the director are doing satire on, right? Mm-hmm. Or it could be what you're pointing out, and I think it might be a dual layer thing here, where none of them have any sort of identity whatsoever. They're all just sacks of meat and bundles of sound, as we were saying.
Yeah, and there's definitely like, I definitely think it's that in the sense of like, he's not like Patrick Bateman's not real, which is ironic because at the end of the movie he's pleading to his lawyer, he's saying, "I'm Patrick Bateman," when earlier he had even said there is no Patrick Bateman. But I also, in a more literal sense, could even be thinking of him as the American Psycho, right? Saying like, because a psycho's whole thing, like the definition of an actual psychopath, is someone who doesn't feel any empathy, doesn't care about other people at all, doesn't care what, like has no remorse, that kind of thing. So he could be also saying like,
was that the definition of American or psycho?
Psycho. Could be either. But like that's the thing where so even if there is a Patrick Bateman, he's saying like, there isn't really, like I'm just, my humanity is a facade that I put on to like I think he even says like some point, like he says like my streak of normalcy is gonna break or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about his morning routine, right?
Okay.
Because I actually was looking at this, watching, and I was thinking, I was like, okay, let me keep in mind, like, what could be appealing about this person? If I'm watching this movie, what would make me want to go, I want to be like that guy? And there's not much.
Would it be the structure and the...
But I was like, okay, that morning routine maybe is like, hey, this is a person who has a good routine, structure, takes care of their bodies, takes care of themselves.
You heard it here first, folks. Hunter's 50% of the way there.
No, but here's the thing. When you watch it, and like, if you truly watch him, and especially
he has no emotion.
If you actually watch him do this, but especially if you listen to what he's actually saying, no, sir. Because look at why he's doing this. And it's not even, look, being fit is a good thing, being healthy is a good thing. But look at his cabinet, man. Like, the film makes a point to show you all of the things that he's using and the plasticness of everything, right? And he's not doing this because he wants to be healthy. He's doing this to create this facade, this image of this perfect, like, yuppie, right? Because he has to be better than everybody else.
I have a quick side note.
Yeah, please.
Every time, because the audience knows, if they've been listening with regularity, that y'all are looking for a house.
Yes.
And every time you explain to me, like, your aesthetic that you would like in your house or apartment, this is what I picture is Patrick Bateman's apartment.
Oh, I hated his apartment. Really?
Okay. That's what I picture.
I did not like his
because you're like
apartment.
white with like a little accent black thing, or like, you know, black, white, and his apartment is just black and white with like. Did you notice his kitchen is like an industrial kitchen? Like, all the cabinets are metal.
Yes, yeah, I don't like that.
Well,
I'm not Patrick Bateman, just so you know.
I mean,
but no, I'm saying, like, do you think, like, it's so sad that, like, how is this not obvious? If you listen to his words, oh my God, like, I don't know, like, it's this obsessive, I must be the best at everything and better than you in every way.
Well, Hunter, are you saying how can people glorify this? Or
yeah, I guess. But like, this is the one scene where I was like, I guess you could be like, hey, that's a good routine to have. Good for you. Take care of yourself. But it's like, is he? Is he actually? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because routine is good, structure is good, being fit is good, health is good, taking care of yourself is good. But it's like, why are you doing it? You know, like, are you obsessed with it? Is it because, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
I do get what you're saying. I'm trying to decide if I just want to, like, go off on a tangent about this whole, like, this resurgence of, like, the alpha male, and
I think it'll happen eventually.
You need to, like, take control of your life and do these things and have discipline and blah 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 blah, which a lot of men and younger people gravitate towards, because I guess they need something in their life. And then it's so funny because it starts with that. It starts with, like, this structure of, like, you know, work out, eat healthy, have a routine, you know, blah blah blah, do everything that you need to do. And then the byproducts of it almost always, and I'm not saying always, because there are people who are healthy and have a good routine without these other aspects, but a lot of these big voices in this area of thought, the byproduct is a lot of the things that happen in this movie, the superiority complex and the excess, the need to have everything, to be the best, to have the most money, to have the car so that you can get the girl. It's like Scarface, man. It's like, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. But then comes the violence also. And so it's just, it's really unfortunate. But yeah, so when you're saying how can you watch this and not see how it's satire, I have the same question, but it happens quite often. So it's interesting.
Do you think it's people who are maybe haven't seen the film and are seeing?
No, Well, I mean, sometimes, like, the people who are just, like, have Patrick Bateman as their avatar,
Yeah.
I would like to assume that they have not seen the film and they just think this is, like, an attractive businessman, right?
Yeah.
But there are people who have seen the film, know how it ends, know... Maybe they don't know the point of it, because if they did, then are they evil? but
Well, that's the thing is like I think my thing is like, how can you watch this movie even if you're totally on board with him for the first half, and then he starts murdering people, and you're like, oh, actually, I could do everything he's doing and just not kill people, and I would be totally cool. And it's like, no, you'd still be a douche. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd still be just the worst.
Well,
You want to be a murderer.
Let's take this backwards to try and find the line. Will you indulge me in a thought experiment?
Please.
So let's look at John Wick, who, outside of all the murdering, which he does quite often, is generally a kind-hearted person who values like relationships with those he's worked with in the past and his family and animals, and who just generally seems to be, outside of all the killing is what I'm saying here, right? Seems to be like an okay person. Now, we bring in the killing. Do you see yourself... When you were watching the John Wick films, at any point, did you see him as, like, a hero?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
Because it wasn't really like a... I mean, if he's a hero, it'd just be to himself, right? It's not... Like, he's, like, on a revenge tour. He's not trying to save anybody. He's not... His most noble thing that he's doing is getting revenge, which is that ever noble? You know what I'm saying?
Does the hero's journey always require, like, I guess, so like, the Odyssey, like Homer's The Odyssey?
Yeah.
Did he do anything other than, like, travel a bunch and, like, learn a bunch about himself and then just come home?
And just survive.
Right, but, like,
Yeah.
have all these stories to tell when he got home? And that was, like, that's one of the tales that, like, when you learn about, if you take like a film class or a literary class, and you learn about like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, that's one of the stories that gets brought up. So does it need to be like saving someone, or like
no?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, so would you say that John Wick's a hero?
I could see, I guess what I'm saying is I could see how he could be viewed as a hero because he has other traits that are like generally favorable to...
He's kind.
Right. Now, let me make my point. We shouldn't glorify John Wick. The movies are awesome, right?
Yeah.
But we shouldn't glorify John Wick. But what I'm saying is, if that is something that's possible, then if young, impressionable men look at all this like routine and success, that's the big thing. When people see someone who's successful, they're like, how did they get there? Let me emulate that.
Well, it's just
and
like,
if it's awful...
Dude, it's like James Bond. James Bond is not a good person.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
James Bond is just an awful, awful dude. He's a misogynist and like objectifies women and treats people like absolute trash, doesn't have any relationships, doesn't care about people.
Doesn't really care when they die. It's not if they die, it's when, with a lot of these girls.
The reason I liked No Time to Die, I've got people who like are furious that he died in that movie, and it's like, no, that was his one redeeming quality where he actually made a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
It was saying because for his, which we find out it's like it's for his daughter. But I was like, you can't always be this horrible person. But James Bond is also seen as this like cultural icon, this smooth talking, cool.
Right.
He's like the epitome of cool, like he's got the money and the girl, And it's like he treats that girl like trash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, but he's not seen as like a psychopath like Patrick Bateman is, because he doesn't murder innocent people, but he's still not a good guy. But he is cool, and he is usually considered a hero, like a hero. You know what I mean? He's got the suit. He's got everything. He's got everything that Bateman has besides being a murderer. So, I'm not sure
do you think James Bond could get a reservation at Dorsia on a same day?
Probably. Dude, I don't know. We can keep going down our notes, but there's so many things that I just loved. In the sense of in the sense of like how they showed it. Okay. How they showed across. There was some scene, what was it? I don't know when it was. Or what he says. Oh, he's going to dinner with what's Reese's character's name?
His fiance. That's her name.
So-called fiance is what he says.
Evelyn.
He says something along the lines of, and it's not this because what I'm using is a phrase he says later, I believe. But he's going to dinner and he says something like, all of a sudden I want to throw up. Like I'm dying on the inside because we might not get a good table. Like it's that. Or after he murders a man and goes to his apartment, he says something like that again. It's like all this, like I have the feeling that I'm going to throw up.
When he goes to Paul Allen's apartment, he says he walks in. He's like, I'm filled with a sense of dread as I realize that his apartment overlooks the park and it's obviously more expensive than mine.
Yes, I actually wrote it down. He says, I'm on the verge of tears because we might not get a good table. One, that's really great writing in my opinion. Like it makes you wonder, like, wait, is this guy actually? Where is he? Oh, he's actually just stone cold. But I think it's like I had a point I was gonna make with that. But I like those things. I think is brilliant, showing him as like this. He's just got nothing. There's just nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing, and it's all about the appearance. All about looking like he's this successful guy. And he blatantly says it. They're on the way to dinner, and she's talking about how he works at his father's company, which is like a throwaway line, but it's very important.
Yeah.
And she says, like, I don't know why you work there. And he says, because I want to fit in. Like, he just says it
straight up.
Plainly,
I'm drawn to the scene where he takes Courtney to dinner.
Yeah.
And says that he's taking her to Dorsia. They don't go to Dorsia, but she's like
so out of it.
On something and she's out of it. And the way he tells her like what she's going to eat.
Yes.
But he's like verbatim repeating like a New York Times like piece on the dish, right?
Whatever.
Yeah. That kind of stuff is fascinating to me because it's like I think so I've seen this film multiple times, and the more I watch it, the more something that happens earlier on in the film is like directly referenced later. Like I'm trying to think of an example, and it's really going to suck if I just like throw that out there and then don't have a single example. But it's like at one point he's watching something on the television, and then like the next scene, someone asks him a question, and he just like spits out what he heard on the TV.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Dude,
I don't have a concrete example.
That's such a sad, realistic thing today.
Sure.
Is that people will hear a soundbite and go, well, now I can use this.
This is my belief now.
Yeah, like I hate this person. Why? Because I heard this on the news. Okay, well, what about that thing? I don't know. I just heard this, and it's like,
yeah,
that isn't anything, man. Like, and that's why, like, just so everyone knows, whether you watch Fox, whether you watch CNN, whether you watch MSNBC, whether you watch CBS, they all have an angle. They're all trying to tell you something. Okay? You'll just align with whatever you agree with. But let it be known that they're trying to convince you of something. That's all of them. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. It just know that.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes me so mad. Oh, God. It makes me so mad, man. Like, turn off the news and read about it. Investigate it. Research it. Do your own research. Somebody, you're going to piss me off. Just because, like, it's just like.
I'm going to piss you off?
Well, no, not you. But I'm saying, like, I don't understand how people can't see that. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
And some of them are more blatant than others, Fox. Sorry. But, like, when they're making fun of somebody instead of telling you the story, they're wanting you to feel a certain way about somebody.
Right.
And that's happened on all of them.
Word framing is important.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can have a news story in front of you, and the way you frame it will color the perception of the viewers if they're not aware of that, right?
Yeah. And so that's what Patrick Bateman is doing. He early on in the scene, like, they're at dinner and he spouts off the most generic feed the hunger, save the world speech.
Yeah. Like the basic
Yes.
ass millionaire humanitarian talking points, right?
Yes. And it's to look, philanthropic and like he cares. And it's just like, I don't know, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
him
but
just is the worst.
Is he walking home from that dinner when he kills the homeless man?
I'm not sure. That's definitely after the the business card scene.
Okay.
No, wait. Yes, maybe. Hold on a second. I think you're right because I made a comment of the framing in when he's in the cab with Courtney.
Yeah.
Because she's like, you can see her and he's like obscured by the glass.
Right.
Thought it was a really, really cool shot. Another instance of like
there.
He's not there, So it's after that dinner. I think the next day is the business card scene, which pushed him over the edge, right? And then he murders the homeless guy. Dude, that scene made me so mad. He's such a dick. The homeless guy scene, not the business card scene. Business card scene is amazing. That's a great scene.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation at work where you're just like seething with jealousy? You can't do anything about it.
He just like he's drenched in sweat, and he's just like.
And Lewis is like, "Paul, are you okay? You're sweating."
He's just like, "Oh my God, that off color of bone, and look at the raised letters. Oh my God!" Like but it's the thing. The thing about it is that they all look the same.
That's the joke, right? But the funny thing is, and I know at the beginning of the film, they all appear to be like the same exact person, but the other people at the table are just like, nice card, yeah, cool. They're not really like as invested as Patrick Bateman is. It's like everything to him, right?
Yeah, he's obsessed.
That like shattered his identity and led him to go on a homicidal spree, which I guess he does. He's already a serial killer.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw this movie, I didn't piece together that he was already killing, because early in the film, he's at the corner of a street, and this woman like looks over at him. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" She like looks, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then it cuts to a shot where he's just got bloody sheets, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Obviously or maybe not obviously, but he killed her.
Yeah.
Probably. Probably killed her. But it's after the card scene is when he starts to get like disheveled on screen and just like deteriorating fast, right?
Yeah. I know that we're moving really slowly through this movie because we're already like close to an hour. But let's go ahead and talk about Huey Lewis in the news.
Okay.
So he invites Jared Leto out to dinner.
Yeah, and so I mean, you know he's going to kill Jared Leto because Jared Leto gets his name wrong. Jared Leto's card's better than his.
Yep.
So he takes him to this like shitty restaurant and gets him drunk, and then takes him home and puts on Huey Lewis in the News. It's so interesting to me. I know you wanted to talk about this scene specifically, but there's 3 points in the film where he gives this like super just like spot on like analysis of the music that he's listening to, right? He does it with Huey Lewis, Phil Collins, and then Whitney Houston. And then it's just juxtaposed with like this just violence. The first time it's him like, killing Paul Allen. The other 2 times it's just like from the Whitney Houston one was the most blatant to me, where he's talking about how tender it is and like love and blah 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 blah, and then it's just like violent sex. You know what I mean? It's just so. What do you think? What do you think? To do it 3 times, what do you think that juxtaposition is trying to say?
I don't know. Like that was one that like. To me, it didn't hit that deep. Maybe it should have, but it was more of just showing his like obsessive nature with just everything. But also, it's a very surface. Like he could have just read that like out of a review of Rolling Stone, right, and just memorized it.
Well, sure, yeah.
And I don't know if it's like a way to seem impressive, but because he also has his headphones that he listens to. It's like it's a way to like allow himself to express his innermost self. I don't know.
But there is none.
True. See, what do you think? Because I don't know. I mean, for me, it was more of it just seemed like a way to be like, this dude's just a psycho, I guess.
I don't know. Like it sometimes I'm trying to. I'm not making any assertions on like the nature of these things, but I'm trying to figure out like what the director is trying to say by making
because that's in the book
choice,
too.
right?
I do know.
Well,
that, his obsession with music is in the book too.
But it's almost as if they're trying to draw like a parallel between just like having these like super generic music opinions and like legitimate violence. It's like, are they trying to say that that's like violence to the art craft? You see what I'm like pointing towards?
I'm gonna Google.
I mean, I don't know. You Googling it?
What does the music? I'm just curious. You can keep talking.
Well, Patrick Bateman's character thinks that Huey Lewis in the News really came into their foray with 4, because he thinks that their early work was a little too new wave for his taste.
Here we go. Let me see something real fast.
All right.
Okay. Excuse me, the book. So, I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until I heard it like in a video. But in the book, there are multiple chapters devoted to his love for music.
Okay.
Like full on, but it's Phil Collins, Whitney Houston, and Huey Lewis in the News, and the News. Here he goes. On one hand, everything Bateman is not about, including clothes, food, art, blah blah blah, blah, reinforces how incredibly shallow his life is. And the 80s yippie culture is. So that would make his love, his sense for music, for that certain kind of music, in kind of the same way. Okay. It says, hold on a second, I'm reading this. It says, he may talk about how a certain combination of clothing, blah, 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 blah. He never goes into detail of why he feels the way about music. It says actually he's more intimate and nuanced about music and treats it better than any other relationship or people or whatever in the entire. I don't know.
Now that's interesting. So that okay, that kind of tracks with the juxtaposition, right? Where
Yeah.
he's like elevating this art form and saying like this is beautiful, right? Probably the only thing in the film that he says that about. And then boom, back to his like base instinct to kill and be violent. Okay,
It says
cool.
it says that like the most common theme is just saying like he's obsessed with seeming cool and like seeming to fit in and popular. So these are the biggest artists of the times, and so he's just gonna know like what to say about them. But there is something here. This is in the book. I haven't read the book. It says his fixation is confirming just that he is shallow, superficial. He has no real connection to the music of the artist. Blah blah blah. It says this is confirmed when he attends a U2 concert. Claims to have never heard of the band, but he goes there because Donald Trump likes them.
Okay, interesting. Donald Trump and his family were mentioned like 3 or 4 times in the film. He's like, was that Donald Trump? Was that Ivana Trump? Who am I kidding? Like, Ivana wouldn't be eating here.
Yeah, he says like, is that Donald Trump's car or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's just like it seems like there's maybe like when he's really, I don't know, like I'm trying to say like it seems like those things, consuming that stuff gets him, it's like drives him almost over the edge when it comes into the music thing where he's like getting himself ready to like kill somebody. You know?
So he's literally setting the mood with Whitney Houston to commit murder.
Yeah. I don't know. But I think it's definitely just reinforcing like it's like he does. Actually, we can kind of jump. We can because I know that we're running along. We can kind of jump around. He doesn't know how to interact with people.
That's very evident from the.
So it's like people are in his home. So what do you talk about? I guess music. So he just picks something to just spout out about while he's getting ready to murder them. Because when he actually gets when he actually gets put him in a situation where he has to interact with somebody, which is Willem Dafoe's character when he comes in, he does not know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he cannot hold a conversation.
Well, he's also really nervous because there's a detective in his office to talk about
the
disappearance of the guy that he murdered. But I got
But,
you.
like, look at the persona that he's created. It just disappears.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even later, when he's like, when he has dinner and stuff with him, like, it's just, I don't know. But anyway.
Do you want to talk about Willem Dafoe's character? Because it seems like throughout the film that Willem Dafoe knows exactly what happened, or at least has a very strong hunch because of little hints he gives, like he pulls out the Huey Lewis and the News CD, or he like looks at him and he says, well, he wouldn't have been killed by his friends, isn't that right? Yeah. But then, and he's investigating the disappearance of Paul Allen, but then at the end of the film, it is learned that Paul Allen did go on a trip to London. Right? So one of the big things with the book, and I think they tried to translate it to the movie, is that Patrick Bateman is like the most unreliable of narrators, right?
Yeah.
He could be lying to us just as easily as he's lying to other people in his world, right? So anyways, there's the prompt, go.
Well, I was going to say, to me, there's a couple ways to look at it, which I think is fascinating. One is, yes, of course, that Patrick Bateman is a liar, and Paul Allen went to London and is alive and well, and maybe he didn't kill any of those people. Maybe he didn't do any of that, because at the end, there's definitely like a spree where I'm like, I don't know if all of this happened.
What, when he shoots a single bullet and blows up two cop cars?
2 cop cars, yeah. Or like the ATM tells him to feed him a stray cat, you know, like...
well, yeah, obviously that didn't...
Well, no, I know, but like...
at least not my bank. Bank of America doesn't do that.
Where he's like, he walks into a building in the like revolving door around like twice and comes back in and shoots. He like walks in, leaves again, comes back in, and then just goes in and shoots a guy and leaves. You know what I'm saying? Just this spree. he walks by a guy who's like, "Hey, Mr. Smith, working late," and then shoots him. He's like going crazy. But there's so many comments here and there where, like, to me, it hammers home this idea of nobody has an identity in this movie. They're all the same, and nobody cares enough to even know who you are. Mm-hmm. Not only does it not matter who you are, because who you are doesn't exist, you're consumed by this idea that you have to become, and culture like consumes you. It becomes who you are just to fit in. But nobody around you even cares enough about you to even want to know who you are. Patrick Bateman truly doesn't. He doesn't give a shit. But his friends, he's called the wrong name like 50 times, right?
Right.
But then, Willem Dafoe's character, I don't know his name. What's his name? Detective
Donald Kimball.
Kimball, that's what it is. I knew it was the same as Harrison Ford in Fugitive. Kimball. He says that his friends give him an alibi. He's like, they're with you, partying at so and so.
Well, so the first time I saw this film, I keep trying to go back to the first time, because once I've seen it, I'm like, well, that whole thing might have just been like his imagination, right? But the first time I saw the film, I thought that Willem Dafoe was trying to like bait him into taking a fake alibi. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, they said that you were with them. Is that accurate? And then if he said, yeah, I was with them, but he knows good and damn well that they'd never said that, then he's got him in a fake alibi. So that's what I thought he was trying to do. But maybe you're right. Maybe, I don't know. It gets murky.
Well, I'm just saying, because like then his lawyer's like, oh, I saw Paul Allen in London like 10 days ago. But then he thinks Patrick Bateman is somebody else. He's calling him Davis. And so what I'm saying is, like, their peers don't even know who they even are. You know what I'm saying? Like, who some guy thinks is Paul Allen obviously is somebody else.
Right.
And what's crazier is that it seems like people don't correct them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, even when Patrick says, no, I'm Patrick Bateman, the guy's like, it's not funny anymore, Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think, yes, it could all be like this false narrative, this made up in his head kind of thing. But I also think it could just be a commentary on the fact that, like, the culture of that time, and it still exists, is this, I don't care about you. I don't need to know who you are. Why should I care? So you could be Tim to me for all I care, not Zach.
Right.
And so when it comes down to it later, someone says, who are you with? Oh, I was with Tim. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At least to me, that's kind of how it took. I know that we it's already been like an hour and 10 minutes, so we got to wrap up soon, but we've missed a lot. Like,
but we've had a good conversation a lot too, Hunter.
Let me ask you about Gene. All right?
Who's Gene?
Gene is the secretary. It's so sad. That's how can you idolize this person? She's doing it.
Well, sure, but she doesn't see what we're seeing on screen.
True.
She sees the misogyny, right, in the just like assholeness.
One of the first things he says is, "Don't wear that again." Like, you know, like whatever. Right. It's just like, dude, who are you? I don't know. It's just sad to me that there are not just men but also women who see this kind of person and be like, yeah, that's what I need.
Well, that's the status quo. I'm telling you, people will look at someone successful and say, I want that. And they overlook all the deficiencies, which Patrick Bateman has quite a few of them. I had something I wanted to ask you about. Did you know that the studio, when they were like in casting, so Mary Harron is the director of this film, did a wonderful job. She wanted Christian Bale to play Patrick Bateman. The studio wanted either Edward Norton or Leonardo DiCaprio. And they actually got Leonardo DiCaprio for a hot minute. Mary Harron said, if Leo is going to be the actor, I'm out. And so I think she was actually fired. And then, give me 1 second. Where was I? Oliver Stone came in to direct. And Oliver Stone and Leo had creative differences. It sounds like Leo wanted this to be like Shutter Island before Shutter Island was made. Like just like a heavily psychological film. Yeah. Which it is. But then eventually they brought back
Mary.
Yeah. And Christian. Could you see Leonardo DiCaprio in this? And keep in mind, this is directly post Titanic. So, like
maybe actually,
he's young. Like he's very young.
I think so. After seeing like Wolf of Wall Street, like he can play the smug Wall Street guy.
Sure, but Wolf of Wall Street came out like 18 years after Titanic. So again, he's very young. He looks like a child, and his like a large portion of his audience at that point in his career was like young women who were fawning over him. So can you imagine if a bunch of Titanic fans, which like I'm a Titanic fan, but like I'm just saying, there's going to be a group of people who go in to see this film because Leo's in it, and then they leave and they're like, "Oh my God, what was that?" You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. I think it's definitely better as an unknown, which I think Christian Bale technically was kind of at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. I did hear that somewhere that this movie almost didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, I feel like most movies almost don't
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we can wrap up, but let me ask you, did he do it? And also, what do you think the film is saying at the end with him not getting away?
I think that we need to listen to Patrick at the beginning when he says, I'm just an idea. There is no Patrick Bateman. It's just an idea. I think that he is just like a manifestation of everything that is wrong with the overindulgent, violent, yuppie culture of the 80s, and which continues on today. Like, this movie's set in the 80s, but like, I mean, a lot of this stuff's gotten worse, in my opinion. And that's what it is, right? I don't think anything in this film actually happened. I don't think any of the people are real. I think this is like a Seinfeld situation, where it's just like it's a movie about nothing, but it has a lot to say, you know.
But is it good?
I think it's good. It's worse than it was the first time I saw it.
Really?
When I was younger. But I'm telling you, man, it is like heavily skewed by just the way. I mean, there's multiple movies that way for me now. Like Joker's that way for me now, where it's like I like Joker at face value, but the way people like idolize Joaquin Phoenix's character is like, it's gross to me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not. I don't know. But yes, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah. I would agree.
What would you rate it out of, from like splitting a toenail to like eating your favorite dessert? Where would you rate it?
I'd rate it as, you know, when you get a really good McDonald's?
Yeah.
Where it's like, this isn't like the best.
Right.
But it's good. It's really good for right now. But after it sits for a while, it might not be very good.
Because you don't go to, or at least I don't go to McDonald's out of necessity. I go to McDonald's because I'm craving that McDonald's meat.
I haven't had it since I got super, super sick a few weeks ago. But yes. But the thing is that you're always chasing that first high, in the sense of like,
yeah.
If it's not the good McDonald's, it's just the worst.
Right.
But yeah. But it's good. I would say it's good.
A bad double cheeseburger is just a sad thing.
But a good one. Where the cheese is like just started melting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's not over melted. It's like the perfect double cheeseburger. One piece is like half melted, but then the top piece is like not even. It's like,
but it's also not cold.
No, it's not cold. It's warm, but like fully formed still.
There's still
right?
there's still sharp edges on the cheese.
Yeah.
You know. That's funny. All right, well, there you go. It's good.
All that to say, it's a good film.
Yeah, American Psycho is good. I know that we skipped a ton, but it's a lot to talk about. But
we didn't even talk about the one character that you empathize with, but it's too late now.
See, she got chewed up and spat out by the culture, man.
Yeah.
She killed herself. I can tell you, she killed herself. That's like what I got from it. That she was going to kill herself.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
She was somebody who was just being taken advantage of, and it was sad. But anyway, every movie sucks. Let's do it.
You saying that's why she said, if I don't see you before Easter, have a good one? You think she's going to, like, Easter brunch, just be like, everybody, pow.
Well, no, but like then like how she called back to him, and she was like, never mind, nothing. Like, I was like, she's wanting to say like, I'm falling apart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see here.
We're doing every movie sucks.
So it says half star. I don't get it. Wait.
La, dun, 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 dun.
Here in my cars, I feel safe as can be. Da, 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 da.
Here we go. Last time I watched this, my week was ruined. Piece of shit movie for white boys who love Andrew Tate. I didn't want to name him, but the whole conversation I was having, that's, even if it's post-ironic or whatever, it sucks.
Andrew Tate is not a role model, just so everyone knows.
Post-ironic is funny.
Yeah, I went down like a mini like alpha male just because I was like, what are they even really saying? I've seen some things. I'm like, that's a joke, right? But no, they're not.
It's not a joke.
And
it's very real.
It's awful. It's really bad. Here we go. Let's see here. I was just saying like horrible film. Here's a he just like me as MF watches this shit and be asking where the bitches are at. Like, bro, he has yet to look within himself first. What?
Hold up. I feel like you're reading that with the wrong inflection.
I think I was, but it's also called troll pasta, so maybe. Here's one. Here we go. I'll try and censor this because this sounds like it's gonna be really mean. But maybe it's true. This is the most overrated piece of dog shit ever made. Patrick is single-handedly the most shallow, one-dimensional soy boy cuck of all time. The only people who relate to Patrick Bateman are incels. I honestly fell asleep and don't even care that I missed most of the film. The only thing that all right, I'm just going to read it. I apologize in advance. The only thing I hate more than this cum stain of a film are the people who think they are Patrick Bateman. Try watching a good film like Central Intelligence to learn how real cinema is done. Never heard of that one. Maybe if you try touching some grass, you get as many bitches as your idol. Maybe don't call them bitches either. Are you looking up Central Intelligence movie?
Central Intelligence is the Kevin Hart, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson cop film. Is that the one where? Have you seen the? It's just like one scene where they're like the perfect cops. It might be a different movie, but they're like chasing somebody, and the villain has like a zip line, and they're like 20 stories up on this like, skyscraper, and they're like, you thinking what I'm thinking? And they're like, yep, and then they jump, and it's just like like a 30-second long shot of them falling, and then they just like hit the concrete and
No,
either get like severely hurt or die?
That's The Good Guys.
Is
Bad
it?
Guys, something like that. It's Will Ferrell and Mark
Okay.
Wahlberg. His name is John Dick on this thing, and his number one favorite film on Letterboxd is Central Intelligence.
The other guys. Yeah.
The other guys. His top. So I'm gonna read the stars of his top 3 movies, top 4 movies. Okay, it is The Rock and Kevin Hart, Rob Schneider,
What's wrong with Rob Schneider?
Mike Myers, and John Cena.
What's wrong with Rob Schneider?
His top 4 films are Central Intelligence, The Animal, The Love Guru, and The Marine. Anyway, moving on. We can be done with this because we're almost at like an hour and a half. Let's do. Read me one more, Zach.
This review says there's nothing wrong with Rob Schneider. No. Give me 1 second. Let me. Here's one. Angela says, IDK, I guess I just don't like movies about serial killers and capitalism. That's fair.
That's fair. Here's one more, because this is actually, I think, their friend's trying to help him out. It says, hate to sound different and quirky and shit, but I don't like this movie. I don't get it. It's just 2 hours worth of some lunatic chopping people up for no reason. There's meaning behind it. Shut up. I had to have my friend go into paragraphs trying to explain to me that it's about greed or something. If you're going to make a movie with a hidden meaning, it shouldn't be putting on fucking binoculars to see the hidden meaning. I don't know. I just don't like it. Fair enough. All right, there you go. Every movie sucks. Time for news? Shindigs?
Every movie sucks. Every movie
sucks. I knew where you go with that. Are you just dancing?
Yep. So now it's time for Shindigs.
Shindigs. How about you give me a song?
Are you ready for the Shindig song?
Yep. It's time for the Shindigs. Time for the Shindigs. There you go.
I was gonna do an actual song, but you lost it.
I lost it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I got news. News. Ready for news?
It's time for the news. There's not a story this week that Hunter's not gonna talk about.
I'm sure there is.
If he's trying.
If we're newsing. It's
We're
time
talking
for
about
news.
the news.
All right. Here we go. News. I don't have a ton, but I have some. Have you seen X or Pearl? Horror, like slasher films?
I want to watch Pearl because I saw a shot of the closing credits, and just that one shot is fascinating to me, and now I want to watch both of those movies.
Okay. Well, they're making a third one called Maxine, but the X, there's 3 X's in it. Maxine, with Elizabeth Debicki, Moses Sumney, Michelle Monaghan, Bobby Cannavale, Lily Collins, Halsey, Giancarlo Esposito, which would be awesome. He's great. And Kevin Bacon, as well as, I think, Mia Goth. Is that her name? Mia Goth?
Yeah.
So making a third one. Pedro Pascal and Ethan Hawke are set to star in a new queer western called Strange Way of Life. Netflix has ordered a Stranger Things animated series from the Duffer Brothers. Carmen Ejigo, Francois Chow, David H. Holmes have joined the cast of The Penguin. And we get our first look at The Penguin in the new Max. Now it's called Max. They had an event. WB had an event for HBO.
It's not Max yet, but it's going to be Max soon.
HBO Max is going to be called Max. It's going to be merged with Discovery Plus. Emma Roberts has joined the cast, returning to American Horror Story Season 12, along with, wait for it, Kim Kardashian. She's joining AHS, just like Lady Gaga did, so we'll see. We get our first trailer and poster for the John Wick prequel limited series.
Mm-hmm.
The Continental. Looks awesome. House of the Dragon Season 2 has begun filming. James Gunn has confirmed that. Let me look up this. I didn't look up the rest of the cast. Hold on. Creature Commando cast. James Gunn has confirmed the cast for the first DCU project, Creature Commandos, and that is, let's see, where is it? Trying to pull it up. We have Sean Gunn as Weasel. Also, he's playing somebody else, I believe. 2 characters. Frank Grillo is playing Rick Flag Singer. Maria Bakalova is playing Princess Ilana Rostovic. Idira Varma is playing the Bride. Zoe Chow is playing Nina Mazursky. Adam Tudyk is playing Dr. Phosphorus. David Harbour is playing Eric Frankenstein. Sean Gunn's also playing G.I. Robot. And then Steve Agee is reprising his role as John Economos. So there's that. Harry Potter, HBO Max. What are you smiling about?
I just love it when you're railing off names and like
Why?
struggling with the pronunciation.
They're tough. Those tough names, man. The Harry Potter Max series has been confirmed with a logo, which is the same logo, and poster, and it's said to be a decade long. So we're getting that. Hopefully it's good. I'm not happy about it, but whatever. We get a new image and TV spot of Michael Keaton as Batman. You see, there's a new TV spot as for the Flash, and it shows like an up close picture, like shot of like all the characters, like Barry Allen, Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, and Ben Affleck's is like some seriously unfinished CG, and it looks so bad.
Yep.
It's really funny. Let's see here. Morena Baccarin and Stefan Pichik are set to reprise their roles as Vanessa and Colossus in Deadpool 3. Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon is going to debut out of competition at the Cannes Film Festival.
Canes?
Cannes. It is Cannes, isn't it? Cannes.
Hunter.
I'm sorry.
It's a well-known one. Like,
as soon as you said it, I knew. I was like, oh yeah, that's Cannes.
the cans.
I think I misspelled it wrong.
The Campbell
Campbell
chicken noodle soup.
Campbell Soup Film Festival. The Writers Guild is threatening a strike. It's supposed to start like in May, so that's going to be interesting to watch. And then Denzel Washington and Todd Black are producing a film for Netflix called The Piano Lesson, which is going to star Sam Jackson.
Called the what?
The Piano Lesson. What did I say?
You said that. It was just quick and jumbled, and I thought you said the penis lasso.
The Piano Lesson. With Samuel L. Jackson, John David Washington, Ray Fisher, Danielle Deadweiler, Michael Potts, and Corey Hawkins. And 2 more real quick things. One is that Super Mario Brothers has already passed $500 million, which I think is hilarious. And then the biggest news of all time, Nintendo has dropped the the final trailer for Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Are we hype? We're hype.
I'm hype. Did you see like the gameplay? The gameplay,
I don't think so.
Showcase where it shows the new powers.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, they look cool. You can fuse weapons together.
I am hype.
Did you see how successful Renfield has been at the box office this weekend?
No, I have not.
So the budget for the film, and this isn't including marketing, and this film was marketed out the wazoo. The budget for the film was $65 million. This weekend, Renfield made $7.7 million.
Well, yeah, I don't want to see it.
We were seeing something. I guess was it John Wick 4?
It was John Wick 4, yeah.
And the trailer came on, and you were like, "That looks like it would be funny." And I was like, "Hunter, do you want to see this?"
No.
Zach,
you got some Braves news for us?
Yeah, I got some Braves news. Do you want to sing the Braves song for me?
It's the Braves. It's the Braves. Go Braves. We are good at baseball in Atlanta. And we love the Braves.
All right. So the Braves are...
Matthew McConaughey?
No, it's Zach Olsen. He didn't copyright, or he didn't
I'm just kidding.
patent.
I'm just playing a joke on you. Come on.
He's not Robert Pattinson.
So when he speaks, it's a patent,
Not every time.
or is he the son of a patent?
He's the son of a patent.
All right, go on.
One day, his mother was coming home from the bars and was just like looking for anything. Found a patent. A patent that was had been dropped.
Finish the story.
Took it home and
finish the story. You
less
started
than a year later. I'm finishing the story.
How did it happen? Tell us.
Well, do you know the story about the birds and the bees? And how that doesn't really make sense. How would they... Anyways.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting.
Anywho.
Is that like fertilization? Is that that's supposed to mean?
What?
Like pollinating flowers? Is that what that's supposed to be?
The bees are pollinating the birds? Like...
All right, Braves.
Oh my goodness.
Got off the rails. It's been an hour and a half. Come on.
The Braves are 14-2.
No, they're not. The Braves
are 12-4.
Yes, you said 14-2. No, that's the Rays.
Sorry. Yeah, the Rays are 14-2. The Braves are 12-4. We've swept 2 opponents in a row. We're 8-1 on the road, Hunter.
Yeah.
8-1 on the road. That's awesome.
Got a big series coming up.
Big series against the Padres, who took 3 or 4 against us just last week. So this will be interesting to see how we answer the call. Max Fried is pitching tomorrow. That was not a joke. That's real. Max Fried is on the mound tomorrow. Michael Harris, who's been having back issues, is not expected to come off the IL yet. So we'll see how he's doing, but apparently he's not even cleared to be running or anything. So hope his back issue isn't that bad. We should be getting Travis d'Arnaud back soon. He was on concussion protocol, so that's just a 7-day IL. But he also has a history of concussions. He got one last year. I think he got one the season before that, and so it's an ongoing issue. And each concussion gets a little worse. It was an unfortunate play when he got absolutely trounced.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Braves are at a certain point the past few days. 40% of our opening day roster was on the IL, and we are the best team in the National League. So when this team is fully healthy, I am fully expecting us to go 132-30. I think that's a realistic expectation.
Yep, sounds good.
Ronald Acuna is on pace for 40-40, easily on pace. Matt Olson is just hitting bombs.
See him still third today?
Huh?
Acuna? See him still third today?
Yeah.
Easy
peasy. He got thrown out. Was it yesterday he got thrown out? Or was it the day before?
Well, I don't know. He got picked off today.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. He got picked off.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen. But he's doing good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Braves are killing it. I have no complaints at all. And it's coming at a great time because, as much as I hate to admit it, the Mets are playing pretty well, which they also have been playing some bottom feeder teams. So are they playing the Dodgers tomorrow? Is their next series against the Dodgers?
Let me check. I think so.
I think that is fact.
I can tell you who's not playing good, the Phillies.
The Phillies lost 13-0 against the Reds yesterday.
Yeah. They're
That's
already
yikes.
They're only 6.5 back.
That's yikes mode. Yeah, the Mets are playing the Dodgers, so
Go Dodgers.
You don't say that, Hunter. Let's don't say that.
Go Freddie, go Hayward, man. Former Braves.
Okay, we can say that.
Tear him up.
So it's good. It's good that we've been able to maintain our lead because the Mets have been, the Mets were down in the 9th today, came back, tied it up, and then won the game in extras. So, all I'm saying is when the other team is on a hot streak, and they can't make up any ground, that's going to be demoralizing, you know? Think about how much that would suck to be like, we just won 5 in a row and we haven't gained a single game.
Yep.
Sucks to suck.
Go Braves.
Go Braves.
That's very, very brave of you, Zach.
It's the bravest thing I've done all week. I'm going to get whiskey.
Go get whiskey. Yeah, so it's time for whiskey shots. If you're new to the podcast, we take a shot of whiskey every single time we record in honor of the founder of this podcast. Her name was Whiskey. She was a cat. I got this cat when she was 4 weeks old, and Zach was there with me and convinced me to get 2 cats, Jack and Whiskey. Jack's still around, alive and well.
Who was the primary cat? Who was the cat that you went there to get?
Whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then they came out together, and you're like, well, shit, you have to get both. And I was like, okay.
You can't split up best friends.
No. And so Whiskey passed last year. And so every day we do this podcast, we take a shot of whiskey. And just a reminder to just tell everybody that you love them, and be kind to people. So this is to whiskey.
To whiskey.
I want to find like a local whiskey maker and be like, hey, sponsor us. Give us free whiskey.
I have relatives in Tennessee that make moonshine. Like they would not be a sponsor. It would just be like, hey.
Here's some free moonshine. All right, cool. Zach, where can they find us?
You can follow us on Twitter at But Is It Good Podcast. No.
No. You are right. That's incorrect.
You can follow us on Twitter at BIIG Podcast. You can email us at biigpodcast@gmail.com. You can check out all the fun things that we're doing on Instagram at But Is It Good Podcast. That's the same handle for our Instagram and TikTok.
How much whiskey did you just drink?
You got to do the social media stuff. You know I'm not good at this.
So, But Is It Good Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, although I'm very behind on all of those now, so bear with me. And then you can follow me if you want to follow me individually at Hunter Callahan Music. That's everywhere, including Spotify. Check it out. You can follow Zach at Zach2, the number, the THA, future.31. Send him a bunch of memes. He's never on Instagram, but so just blow up his DMs. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Next week we're doing Beau is Afraid. He's very scared. Beau is very, very scared.
I have high expectations for this film.
Yeah.
Especially after that review went viral on Twitter that was like, this is a career ender, 0 out of 10. This is the worst thing ever.
Yep.
People are really excited because that review says something along the lines of like, this is what happens when you give a director full creative
freedom.
Yeah. And people were like, that's what we want.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited. And next week we're going to be hanging out. Well, maybe not. I might not see you because you are busy on Saturday. But next weekend is Chase's birthday, and so you
got to come out after the thing that you're going to on Friday. You got to come out to the Battery.
We're going to try to. We should have fun though. All right, cool. We will see you guys next week.
See ya. Deuces. But Is It Good Podcast? Yeah.